What's up, YouTube fam? Doing another quick video on taxes. Taxes tends to come up a lot, especially with these income funds. And I know a lot of you folks like to dive into the details a little bit. You know, the tax guru butterballs out there. You know who you are. Um, so I'll just do a quick video. I mean, this kid actually be a whole series itself trying to analyze taxes and whatnot, to figure out which funds are the most tax advantageous, to actually get and to own sort of long term. Personally, a big Neos fan. I consider the Neos funds, and they have, I think they're launching more, but they're going to have about 12 to 15 funds total here pretty soon. I think their funds get a tiny bit of NAV appreciation, over a longer period of time, and they maximize distributions without sacrificing, losing your net asset value slash principal investments. Now, of course, in the short term, the market's very volatile, so it's going to go up and down. But what I've seen, at least, and I've had these funds for coming up on a year here pretty soon, and it's relatively new. I think they launched their suite of ETFs in their company. I want to say maybe back in 22, 23 timeframe. So they're not very old, but they've been doing it for 20, 30 years, the fund managers. So, here's a great link, which I'll put in the description of this video, but this kind of goes over the importance of taxes. And as far as I know, Neos is the only one that takes advantage of the favorable tax treatment on the 60/40, and that's ISR code 1256. So basically, anything that's not deemed return of capital, and return of capital, there's a distinction you need to understand between return of capital and return of principal. Can they be synonymous? Yes. But if your fund appreciates over time, but yet they're deeming, 50% of their distributions under ROC, return of capital, does that really mean you're having a return of principal? In my eyes, no, because your net asset value is increasing over time. You're getting a 15% distribution monthly, and some of that's being classified as ROC, which you don't pay taxes on. They do a great job of different scenarios here, based on ROC, qualified dividends, unqualified, and the 60/40, for those that might not know, um, long term, short term gains. So long term gains is tax favorably on a scale, between 0, 10, I think 0, 10, 50, or maybe it's 0, 15, and 20 being the max. Short term capital gains is considered ordinary income. So that would be marginal based on your income tax bracket, which typically is more, in most case scenarios. So that's why this is important. And then ROC is important because you're not paying any taxes on those distributions. You're basically deferring, you're reducing your cost basis for those funds, down over time. So you're deferring the taxes, which will then be rolled into a long-term capital gains, versus short-term, if you sell those, in the future, 12 plus months or greater, so a year out. So great link, which I'll include it. Now, the top funds, that I wanted to go over is the QQQI, Amplified, QDVO, and these are all the NASDAQ 100 index funds, and Goldman Sachs, which is their GPIQ fund. And then I have a chart that analyzes everything. So there's a free site that says totalrealreturns.com, and you can plug in, these different funds to see where they're at. I personally dropped the JP Morgan fund. I mean, you can get that. It is more conservative. You will see price appreciation for sure. Same with the Goldman Sachs. I do like Goldman better than JEPQ, so JP Morgan. But honestly, my core for NASDAQ, and again, you have NASDAQ, you have the Russell 2000 or 3000, and then you have S&P. So that's kind of your core indexes. I have all three, and then I sort of pick the best fund managers for all of those and go from there. So here's the standard. So the NASDAQ QQQ, which follows the NASDAQ 100, the top 100 companies within the NASDAQ exchange. And then, as you can see, QTVO is one of my favorites. Now, you get that's kind of like a hybrid. You get, I think, 10, 11% distributions, but you also get a pretty good capital appreciation, so price appreciation over time. So that is definitely a core. QQQI is one of my favorites. It's lagging from the QDVO at just under 15%, so 14 and a half. This one gets about 14 and a half percent, close to 15 returns on distributions, and the NAV has slight appreciation over time from what I've seen. And then the JPIX, which is, or GPIX is Goldman and Sachs, that gets great appreciation. And I think the distributions are sub 10, like 7%, 8%, something like that. Same with JEPQ for JP Morgan. It's like 6 or 7%. So both of these in the bottom here, you get less distributions, but you do get price appreciation. And the ones up here in the top is more geared towards distributions with a slight price appreciation. So let's dive into some of the details. So there's a tax form that all of these sites have. It's called the 19, where is it at here? 19A form. And I was going to pull it up here to show you. Yeah. So, and they're all different, man, all the different sites. So you're going to have to kind of do some digging if you want to find out what the, and these are estimates. So what is the estimate on a given month? How much was considered return of capital versus short-term gains, all that good stuff. And at the end of the year is when they give you the final documents with the final number, so which is subject to change. But this kind of gives you an idea of roughly what it's going to look like. So we have November, we have all of this year, all of last year. But like you can kind of pull up those. So let me go ahead and pull that up.